Welcome back to Light the Wick, the mini-series that just won't quit. Just like John Wick, Charles, we're getting chased around, but we don't give up. You know, we're still out here. We're still making magic happen. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. And you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I'm excited for people to hear these episodes because I really loved our guest, who we'll be talking about in a minute. But, you know, I just think these are really great episodes, you know, so I'm excited.
And actually, I feel like we didn't talk about this in the first few Light the Wick episodes, and I think it's really important that we give a huge thank you to Evan Schiff.
Yes, he really guided this project. He got Chad on board, who helped a lot, and we couldn't have done it without him. So, yeah, Evan Schiff, great guy.
Yeah, it's good to bring him up because obviously Evan edited 2 and 3, and now today we've got the editor of John Wick 1.
Yes. Do you want to try to say her name, Charles? Should we just call her ER? Elísabet Ronaldsdóttir.
We'll let her pronounce it in the interview.
Okay, we'll let her.
She asked us to call her ER. We'll call her
Right.
ER, which is so badass. I love that name.
Yes. She is amazing. She was working on a Marvel movie in Australia, which is really cool. So her action bona fides are still going strong. So yeah, she was just really, really great. And she has a really amazing kind of personal story that we get into and is really kind of inspiring and amazing, I thought.
Yeah, it's a surprise. You'll see when we get to it. She tells the story, and it's really moving and amazing.
We don't have any John Wick news or anything today, so you know what time it is for me, Charles. It's the time to read our sponsors. And this episode is brought to you by Jeremy Dillon, and he has a great podcast called My Favorite Album, where he interviews different filmmakers, songwriters, musicians about the albums that have inspired them and their work. And he's gone sort of outside of those parameters during quarantine, so check it out. It's got some really good episodes, including one that you and I were on, Charles. I don't know if you remember that, but we were on his show.
I do, vaguely, yeah.
This episode is also brought to you by John B. and also Real Estate Interests LLC, commercial real estate advice for growing companies. And they want to impart that if you're a company, you can consult with them. Even if you're not looking to buy or sell, they help companies save and strategize too. And yeah, so should we just get into it, Charles? This is a kind of a bigger episode, so should we just get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Welcome back to Light the Wick, and we are here with the editor of the first movie.
I want to make sure to pronounce your name right. How do you pronounce your name?
Elísabet
Okay.
Ronaldsdóttir.
Okay, I'll never be able to get that part. But Elísabet.
Everyone calls me ER, so.
ER.
Okay. Oh, I like that. Cool.
We'll call it ER for now, just because I'm going to fuck it up if I try to say it. Thank you. Thank you for graciously letting me do that. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm in the future.
What time is it in Australia?
It is Saturday morning.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you and David Leitch are like two of a kind, right? You worked together many times. The first time on John Wick, did you sort of have an instant kind of connection on that movie?
We actually did. I first met Chad interviewing for an editor position on John Wick, and so I met him at 8711, and I was instantly in love with that enthusiasm he has for the genre and for, action in general. And then I met David, and the three of us worked together really well. So even though I followed David afterwards, it's more that I followed the woman, because when they did John Wick 2, David was doing Atomic Blonde. And right. I have this mini rule that I will always follow the woman when I'm choosing projects. And oh, what a woman to follow, Charlize Theron.
Yes. Yeah. We need a second one. Like, it's about time. It's been long enough. We need another, right?
I hope so. I would watch it. Absolutely. Yes.
So you're obviously one of the key kind of collaborators on the first movie. And we understand from talking to Chad that a lot of the tone and the kind of humor of the movie was discovered in the edit. Can you talk about that? Were you always kind of pushing for the wackier stuff?
They used to make fun of me being like the European art nut. But no, it was an amazing collaboration between David and Chad and me and Keanu, who was very involved in the post-production process. And so it's actually one of my favorite collaborations. Maybe because it was like the first one where everyone had their heart in making that movie. It obviously had so much lower budget than the films that followed. I mean, even like, I can tell you, there is like a one-person shooter game in the movie. We couldn't get a game licensed. Like, it was always written in the script to use this one-person shooter game, but we couldn't get a game licensed. And it just so happened I had friends at CCP, which is actually an Icelandic company. So I, like, towards the end of the production, I called them in panic, like, do you have anything that we can use? Which is why we have, what's the name, Dust 514 something came in the film. And that's just something they actually gave the production. The production didn't even pay for it, but that's how low budget we were at some point. That we couldn't even get a game licensed. Also because no one wanted, apparently, to be associated with drug use and shootings, which is weird.
That's all those video games are. I don't...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But CCP came in and saved the day, and yeah.
Well, can you talk about finding that tone? Because it's something that Charles and I really love, is that it doesn't take itself completely seriously. There's that element of the absurd and the kind of heightened, and Chad said that initially they were putting in all the kind of straight cuts and then it just didn't work, and that they had to kind of elevate it a little bit. And also, if you could talk about Mikkel's performance as the big bad and how that kind of informed everything too. Chad said he was instrumental in kind of establishing that tone.
No, I mean, the tone of the movie. One of the things with the John Wick movies from the beginning is just creating this world building. And I have this big belief that you also have to put a lot of trust on your audience. They are not like a blank page when they walk into the cinema to watch a movie. They have like actually a great experience in watching movies like this. So with the tone, we just really wanted to ground it in this character and his sorrow. And I sometimes joked about it's a bit like the Viking sagas. You know, we have loads of those stories in Iceland that someone, slaps someone in the face and 200 people die. Like, So that was kind of like going into it, like just owning it. Do not apologize. Don't apologize for the story. Don't apologize for this character. We have to own him and love him and carve him out. So that was what we did from the beginning. I mean, having Keanu Reeves there just gives so much tone already. Like this, this dark, dangerous person that still like oozes a huge heart, So I think just him as being the actor already gives the movie tone that we just tried to protect throughout the movie. But yeah, it's also just being precise. I like being precise. And that was one of the things we thought about all the time, just being precise, going from A to B, grounding the character, not to explain too much, never apologize with, over-explaining or... So that was kind of our focus the whole time. But also just because one of the things with the first John Wick is like he is always in frame. And there were 2 instances how it was filmed where he wasn't, which is why we, for example, intercut the scene where he goes into the mechanic when he first goes to meet...
John Leguizamo?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
When he first goes to meet him, that's when we intercut it, because it was just weird to suddenly lose this person that's in every frame of the movie, and then suddenly we lose him, which is why we intercut it, so he's kind of doesn't disappear from the story. And also a part of being precise, that it's like having something happen and then have a character in the movie explain to another character what happened is like, you know,
Right.
it's just layer caking. So, but that was the main focus, being precise, believing in the character, believing in the story, never apologize, and just pump some heart into it. Yeah.
And we've heard from other editors on these movies also keeping track of how many guns he's got, how many bullets he's spent. How much of that were you doing?
Well, you are working with stunt legends when you're working with Chad and David. So my main work on the action was, again, just trying to keep it precise and not repetitive. So we did cut some of it down, just not be repetitive, always bring something new in and move the story along. But yeah, he has a lot of guns and and a lot of reloads, but
Yes.
that was all really good fun. I mean, action is fun to edit because you get so much freedom in experimenting. It's an alpha dance, it's choreography, and you can experiment with it and play with it. Dialogue, on the other hand, is really difficult because every single person in the audience has had dialogue with someone. They might not have participated in a shootout, but they would absolutely have had dialogue with someone.
Right.
So for me, editing, it's always the dialogue is the tricky one to get it working and believable for the audience. Shootouts, go have fun, like just enjoy it. And also just if you establish, it's very important also for me to establish that world right in the beginning, which is something I had so many conversations because David and Chad really believe in that. And I think it was such a great learning curve for me. Just this idea of allowing the audience to enjoy the violence, which is also where some of the humor came in, just to give a small nod to the audience, like, it's okay, you can have fun, even though he's shooting 84 people during this movie, you can have fun, and that's how a lot of the music was brought in, and some quirkiness in editing and stuff was also a part of this, giving the audience a break to enjoy the movie, to enjoy the violence.
Well, Charles and I love a good, closed caption or graphic or something, and you guys have a lot of fun with that. Again, with Mikhail's character and the Baba Yaga and all of that. Was that something you guys came up with in editorial? And
yeah, but it came a lot from David. David likes this stuff, and but we went through so many experiments regarding that.
Really?
Yeah, just trying out like different where we should have them, how they should look, the graphics. But so that was a fun part. But yeah, that's also a part of the world building and just having fun with it. And
yeah.
I remember seeing that in theaters and just being like, I don't know, it seems like people have been doing it a lot more in recent years, and I feel like you guys were on the forefront of doing some really cool stuff with subtitles that people hadn't been doing really at the time. And there were so many great surprises in seeing this movie. So I want to ask, what was the first cut like compared to the final cut? I mean, did you have to cut out a lot of stuff?
Well, we actually had 2 cuts running.
Really?
One was the long, over-bloated, cuts. It's also good to have it so you can go back to it if you start missing stuff. But on the side, we were always running this very tight, precise version of the movie. And I mean, one of the things, just working with directors in general, they tend to love their stuff a lot because they went and shot it and they put everything they have into those scenes and the moments they shot. And then as an editor, sometimes you have to make them not love it, or at least agree to not include it in the final product. So that is something you have to work on and constantly revisit and try again, and to make them believe that it's not necessary to include those things. So yeah, we kind of had two versions running through most of the post-production period.
Well, how much longer was that long version?
Not that much, maybe half an hour. Yeah. But it was a lot of exposition, like explaining things, like setting the world that we then decided wasn't necessary.
Was there any scene in particular that you loved? That I mean, I know that it had to go, but was there a scene that was nice? That...
No, I can't even remember what it was. But it was more, maybe it wasn't even more as much as whole scenes. It was just parts of scenes that went out.
Right.
A lot of dialogue was cut out. And we did cut down some action, just again for the preciseness of it and not to overstay our welcome.
Right. What was the sort of dialogue like between you, Chad, David, and Keanu in post-production? Were those a lot of very opinionated voices there? But how did you kind of synthesize that?
No, but the thing is, when you meet a group of people that are so enthusiastic and have such great respect for the medium, it's just inspiring all around. Our discussions was more or less always about character.
Okay.
I just remember there was one, I don't know if you remember the scene where he goes and drives around in his car, like he's really angry, and that we spent months on moving that scene around and having discussions and heated, passionate arguments about where that scene should go.
It does feel a little out of step with the rest. I remember there's something too, either about I think it's like in the scene before the dog is in the car.
Yeah.
And then he's doing these crazy donuts, and you're like, is the dog like
don't
spinning
think we
around?
Didn't go through that conversation.
Was this a part of the discussion?
It was absolutely a part of the discussion. But, but a decision was made, and it is where it is, and it's perfect. It works really well.
Right.
But yeah,
I mean... Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up...
But that's so funny that you bring it up, because yes, that was a part of the discussion. How are people going to feel if the dog is in the car? Like, is the dog okay? Is he going to kill the dog? Does that make him a bad person? Like,
Right.
Dogs are so important to this series. Drew and I love dogs, and we know that Chad loves dogs. It's an amazing thing. So watching this first movie, every time I watch the first movie, my blood just boils from the moment that everything that happens to this puppy and to the end, and you just want him to get this vengeance so badly. I guess talk about the tonal balance, or what you had to do to make that scene with the puppy work. Was it ever more? Did you ever see more in a bad way, or because it's done just the right amount,
Again, just trying to be as precise as possible. And let's face it, and this is one of the things that's so magical about movies, less is often more. And I mean, and we live in a society where just killing a dog is almost worse than if someone would have killed his whole family, if someone would have... It could be a movie about his wife being killed, but it wouldn't be the same thing. So yeah, but yeah.
Did that scene ever change, or was it always the same?
It was kind of all. You mean when he got the dog, or when the dog?
Well, when he wakes, the dog like limps over to him, and this whole, that whole thing. I mean, was there more to that, or was that always the same?
It was kind of always the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's done very. It's just, it's done just the right amount to just, like I said, makes your blood boil, and you just want him to wake up and murder everybody who is responsible.
Absolutely. And also, it's just, I like that it's not a grown man that kills the dog. It's this annoying, almost teenager. I mean, he's not a teenager, but almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's ticking in all the boxes. Like, annoying teenagers, dead dog, you go kill 84 people, we're fine with it. Like, yeah.
So 84. You've said 84 a few times, though. That is the number. Have you? This
I
count has
believe
been made.
so. I believe so. It's a long time since we did that movie, but yeah, I think I'm right. I might have to recount it.
Was there any trick to making the same stunt guy look different the second time he's killed in a scene? Because we have heard the guy gets killed, he runs around the camera, he gets killed again, you know.
I think it's basically that the guys with the long hair are the bald guys later on, you know.
Okay. Just a bunch of
That was basically the trick. Yeah.
Okay.
Long hair, bald.
Wow, this is some sophisticated stuff.
That was also like one other thing that was such a big surprise about that movie, that at the time, we talked to Chad about this as well, like so much of action around that time coming after Paul Greengrass's style, which is so great, but then was kind of morphed into this kind of crutch that was not fun to watch, was cut, and it was shaky cam, and then you see John Wick in theaters, and it was this mind-blowing thing where you're watching the whole fight play out in this long take, and it's just what was that like when those, I mean, did you know that was the plan coming in? Did you walk into the edit room and get the dailies and be like, wait, what?
Again, when I met Chad the first time at 8711, he just took me through all of this, like all their ideas. I think I spent like far too much time there that day, him just talking about it. And again, they are royal in Hollywood. You know, they've done so many stunt movies. They know stunts. And again, like, they are making stunt movies where they actually train the actors for months to do those stunts themselves. There are, of course, like limits to what actors can do just because of legal reasons and insurance, etc. But oh my gosh, they know what they're doing and just where to place the camera. It's huge science that they have mastered.
I imagine those scenes must be fun to edit because they come in and just like, oh, this whole big action sequence, there's shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, I'm done.
Yeah, but I can tell you because it's kind of, Chad just asked me one question. He said, what do you not like about action movies? And I told him, I just don't like when I can't see what's happening. And he basically said, almost, you're hired. Like, okay, you can come. So, but what they've done to action is amazing and thrilling. But I cannot take credit for the action. All you have to do is try not to fuck it up, you know, because what they've shot is just amazing. But it also, as an editor, it allows you to focus on other things, which I tried to do in the John Wick series, which is bring that, like, ground the character within the action. You know, you have moments where he's just like tired looking, waiting for the next wave of bad guys to hit. And, you know, that was something I tried to cherish throughout the action beats. And, like, it's a funny story about in the club. Before I was hired, I had spoken with Chad, but I was yet to meet David. And I went to this film festival in Poland, Transatlantic Film Festival, which is, it's sad, but it doesn't exist anymore. But it was a festival where they brought filmmakers and musicians together. And I had just read the script to John Wick. I didn't know if I got the job, but I had read the script. And I go to this party in a castle in Poland, and this band is playing, Kaleta. And they play Think, which is in John Wick. And I was just sitting there watching those amazing girls play Think. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the John Wick movie. And then, like, almost a year passes, and I'm editing John Wick. And I find Kaleta, the band, on social media, and I sent them an email and I asked them, like, I remember hearing you play this track. Is there any possibility of getting it for a temp in a movie? Because they had not recorded a record at the time. It wasn't out. They hadn't published it. So they sent it to me. And I remember, because we were talking about tone before, and I remember I temped it on that club and I loved it, and Chad hated it. he was like, what the fuck are you doing? But I can be very stubborn, so I just kept it in forever. And in the end, everyone loved it. But that was also a part of grounding the character and like working on the tone of the movie, was using something like this. It's not action music, but it really tied into the character and the tone of the movie to use it there. So, and I think that's actually a successful example of how we work with the tone of the movie and kind of trying to stay away from what people usually did in action movies.
Do you remember any specific contributions that Keanu did or suggestions in the edit that made it in and made a real impact?
Oh my gosh.
He was completely unhelpful, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, useless. I'm sorry. It's a long time ago, and all I can say, it was an amazing collaboration between everyone. Just like constant dialogues, just talk about, and that's what I love about editing, when it's not about frame. Is it a frame here or 2 frames? No one went into that. It's all about character and story. So, but I do know. Sorry, now I'm lost in thought. You got me thinking like, okay, what did he decide? But I can promise you, he had a big impact on everything regarding story and character, as well as David and Chad. Yeah. I have to say it was like a dream team to work with. But not always quiet, because we could really argue. It was like, sometimes it was like people just screaming in every room, like, you're ruining my movie. It's a TV movie now. Like, it was fun. But this is what happens when you work with great characters. And I have such fond memories from that period. We really, really had fun. And also because we were left alone.
Right.
Right. It wasn't like, because and this is why it's always more fun to work on movies that are like first out instead of successful sequels, because no one is bothering, like you don't have studio executives breathing down your neck or having great opinions. They are like, well, yeah, whatever.
Right.
So we were allowed to do stuff we might not have been allowed to do if we were doing John Wick 2.
Right.
Well, I was going to ask also, were there any test screenings? So, I mean, did that affect your process if there were any?
We did have test screenings that were very successful. I'm trying to remember if I think we just had one test screening and we scored high. And we did have friends and family screenings, a lot of them. Yeah.
What is the difference in terms of the process when you're putting these scenes together? You're on a Marvel movie right now, and they're sort of notorious for having everything storyboarded extensively ahead of time and prevised. And it sounds like there was sort of more invention on the spot with David and Chad. Can you just kind of compare those two? I mean, I understand the value of previs, and I understand that everyone can sign off on a scene months before it's completed, but is there something that's lost in the kind of, finding a scene? Or I'm just curious about the two styles.
Yeah, there are different ways to prep for a movie.
Oh,
absolutely. Okay. And it helps during principal shooting to prep as much as possible. And even though Marvel is known for, especially previses, most movies, when they get into the $20 million budget or more, do storyboard. Just because it helps to visualize and set up a camera, etc. But however you prep the film, once you're in post, this is what you have. Which again is probably not a Marvel thing, because they'll just shoot everything again if they have to. They're known for that as well. But generally, your movie is there. This is what you have to work with. And that's what I find so exhilarating about the post-process, that you can bend and sway the material as you like. I mean, that is the magic of post, that you can work the material. But for me, it's always about, and it doesn't matter if it's Marvel or something else, it's all about emotions. There is a big misconception that editing is a technical job. It's not. I am not a technical genius, which is why I have an amazing first that follows me on most movies. I don't think I could do a movie without him, that takes care of the technical stuff. My work is just story and characters, and then you just work the material. And the bigger the production is, you might have, a better coffee, but the work is always the same. It's all about story and character. And again, I've never been on a movie where you haven't been able to bend and sway the material into the emotional package you want to be there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very inspiring, I think. And Charles and I, we love the process of editing, and we think that you guys are artists. And so, yeah, it's always fun to hear these stories. Yes. You obviously went on to work with David Leitch several more times. On Atomic Blonde, was there a different what was your relationship like on that? It seemed to have different goals, right? You were much more interested in music in that one.
Well, that's David, all the way. David had like a playlist ready for Atomic Blonde.
Oh, really?
It was such a fun movie, but Atomic Blonde was extremely complicated movie because you actually have a main character that's lying to you the whole movie,
Right.
And then you kind of have to unfold those lies, but it's tricky. But again, I have a great collaboration with David and Kelly McCormick, a producer. And I love working with them. And again, just exploring character and story and amazing action and amazing actors. I mean, both Charlize Theron and Keanu Reeves. And again, just remember, those are extremely tall people. And that's what I love about the action. It gives different aesthetics to the action. Right. The movements of the hands are bigger. The swing of a leg is longer. So I think it's just beautiful.
Charles is extremely tall, so
There you go. Action.
I think he's beautiful too. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. On Deadpool 2, David was not the first director, and he kind of came on later and kind of saved the day. I'm assuming that he said, I cannot do this without ER. She's got to be there with me. Did you have discussions?
He was on from the beginning on Deadpool 2.
No, the original director Tim Miller was on for a while.
Oh, you mean, okay. Yeah. But after they started filming, it was David.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah, were you on as long as he was, I guess?
Not really, but there are very good reasons for that. I just collapsed on set. It was very embarrassing, the whole thing. So I ended up in a hospital for 4 months.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
But, and then we were in Vancouver David and Kelly, producer, Kelly McCormick, David Leitch, and Ryan Reynolds basically saved my life. They airlifted me from Vancouver to LA to find a doctor. And, hey, I'm here, still alive.
You want to talk about what happened?
I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Oh my God.
But I'm rid of it today. And I do thank this team of beautiful people for saving my life. Yeah. And I did come back. I did come back when I was released from the hospital. I was actually too weak in the beginning to go to work, but so they set up an editing suite in a closet in an Airbnb in Venice, where I did some editing on Deadpool 2 until I was strong enough to come back. And
wow.
Massive story there. Story. It's a movie. I'm telling you, it's a movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's incredible. God. Wow.
You survived stage 4 cancer only to be trapped in Australia.
There you go.
Months.
I'm telling you, it has something to do with Marvel because Deadpool is partly a Marvel production. They own the character.
Right.
That's working. That was a stage 4 cancer. A full-blown Marvel production, world pandemic. I might have to stay away from Marvel. Just saying. But no, I'm joking.
Did you keep watching the John Wick movies? Because we have to ask you,
Of
what your favorite
course.
one.
Are you kidding me? Of course.
Can you rank the movies?
I am not going to do that. Are you kidding me?
Do you give them notes on the cuts of the later movies? Have you been involved at all in that way?
I might do now. Just rewatch them all and send them notes. No. Well, we did for the John Wick 2. We got invited in to give notes. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that you and David?
Yeah. Well, he was a producer, so obviously he would have done that anyways. But yeah, I was invited, and yeah. Not that they listened to me, but it was a nice gesture.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I did not expect it to take such a emotional and inspiring turn, but thank you for sharing that story with us. That's amazing, and we're so happy you're healthy and kicking ass and screaming at David Leitch again.
You might want to cut that one out. I don't know if people are interested in that. But,
no.
But I think it's kind of interesting because people have such ideas of Hollywood, and you can't trust Hollywood, and Hollywood is a backstabbing. And forget that Hollywood is just a bunch of people that, especially successful people, are extremely grounded and generous and human. So I tend to tell that story just to remind people we're all humans, and there are some amazing humans in Hollywood, as everywhere else in the world.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. This was a huge thrill to get to chat with you. And keep us abreast. We want to know that you at least come back from Australia at some point. We need to know that you've got.
Oh, I'm returning in the new year. 2021 will not be Australian.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for including me.
And we're back. Charles, what do you think of that episode?
I mean, obviously, I think we were blown away by her story about surviving stage 4 cancer. That was really amazing, and to hear the story of how that went down while shooting the movie, and that, it's incredible.
Yeah, she is inspiring on multiple levels, and she's done some amazing things, and we just love her to death. She was great and really kind and sweet afterwards as well. So hopefully we keep in touch with her because she rules. But yeah, it's great to hear that. And then can we prime the pump for this great editorial roundtable we have coming up?
Oh yeah, that's true. In a later episode, we've got a roundtable of the editors of John Wick 3. Evan Schiff was the primary editor, and then we have the 2 additional editors, which was Gina Hirsch, Paul Hirsch's daughter, of course. We love Paul.
Yep.
And Matt Evans, and he was the other additional editor on the project. So it was really cool to talk with them. That's going to be a later episode of Light the Wick. Next week, however, we talk with Mark Stockinger, who was the supervising sound editor, I believe, on the John Wick movies. However, next week we talk with him about Mission Impossible, because he was also sound editor on the Mission Impossible 2 and Mission Impossible 3. So we get back into lighting the fuse next week.
Yeah, I love this back and forth. It really confuses me a lot when I'm doing these intros. But you're keeping me on track, Charles. I really appreciate that. And we have don't we have some new Patreon subscribers that we have to give a shout out to because they're up on that new tier?
Yeah, actually, we do have to give a special thank you to Sonia Miranda. She's been with us on our Skype chats, but now she's just upgraded to get a special thank you today, which is great to hear. We love Sonia. She's been awesome in our Skype chats. And then also another special thank you to Robbie J. Martin. And Robbie's been around with us helping for a while as well, so it's really great. Thank you so much, Sonia and Robbie. And we also want to credit our intern, Abby Smith, who has done awesome work for us with our social media. And we also have to thank Luke Burson, who mixes and edits all the episodes and does a wonderful job with that as well. And before we go, though, I want to say we should be plugging our Patreon, patreon.com/LightTheFuse.
Yeah.
Got to go there. You got to check out. We've got so many episodes we've done. You know, we broke down the snowmobile chase storyboards from the opening of Ghost Protocol that was never shot. We discussed the leaked audio of Tom Cruise getting mad on set of MI7. We did an episode about Christmas movies we love. We did.
Yep.
There was this thing we found on the internet was someone saw a leaked work print of MI2 with extra footage that was, closer to John Woo's cut. We break that down. All the latest MI7 news we do. We're going to do an episode about the John Wick roller coaster. There's a roller coaster planned. For what park is that? I don't even know.
It's in Dubai, Charles. Motion Gate, Dubai.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we're gonna have to hit up that roller coaster too when that opens.
We got a lot of trips to plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't had any update on that Mission Impossible attraction or attractions.
What was that? It was in South Korea or something?
Yeah. So hopefully they've been using this time off and have been working hard on getting that ready for people. So
I really hope so, because we need to book our trip.
Yeah, we really do. Yeah, so really, you need to subscribe to the Patreon so that we can go to some of these places. Did you plug the TeePublic page already? Because we got to plug that too.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Go to TeePublic. We've got a bunch of new designs that my wife designed, and you can get all these designs on anything you want. Sweatshirt, t-shirt, sticker, pen, pretty much anything. Baby onesie. Charles has a few of those.
Yes. Masks. We saw some people wearing masks.
Yep.
People post them on Twitter and send them to us. It's really cool. We love to see.
Yeah. So
don't forget the Scuba Luther designs that Katie did too.
Yep. We finally got our Scuba Luther shirt in there. I think you said 14 people have bought one. Or is that,
I think
was that
so
an
far.
Overstatement? Yes. Okay. So we're
I don't
selling.
know. Is that the number? Did you look that up? Did
I thought you told me that. No, I thought you told me. Listen, just buy the Scuba Luther shirt, please, for the love of God. And if you can't do that, we understand completely, but just like, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast wherever you're listening to it. And, send us a tweet. Let us know what you want to hear. We're always looking for suggestions and love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, and check out our website, lightthefusepodcast.com. The show notes are awesome.
So we'll be back next week with Light the Fuse. Right, Charles?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. And before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod, and email us questions or comments at lightthefusepodcast@gmail.com. The doors to any service or provider in connection with the Continental are now closed.